I want you to imagine something for a second. You're walking down the aisles of your local Walgreens or CVS.
Right, something we've all done, a million times.
Exactly. You've done this 100 times. You're scanning the shelves looking for like a bottle of vitamins, maybe a new face wash or some allergy medicine.
Just a standard pharmacy run.
Yeah, exactly. But have you ever stopped, looked at a brand new product sitting right there at eye level, and wondered, how did this specific product beat out thousands of others to get this exact spot?
It's a question people rarely ask, but the process behind it is fascinating.
It really is. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are answering that exact question by exploring the hidden, basically this intense gauntlet that consumer brands have to run to win that coveted shelf space.
And it really is a gauntlet.
Oh, absolutely. And our guide for this journey is a comprehensive 11-step playbook from Retailbound. It's written by Johan Jacob, who is this retail channel management consultant. He's been helping brands launch and scale in over 150 major retailers since 2008.
Yeah, and his perspective is critical here because, getting onto a national drugstore shelf, it's not about having a great product.
Wait, really? Because you'd think the product is the most important part.
You would think so, but no. A great product is merely the baseline expectation. I mean, everybody has a good product. The real challenge involves strategic positioning, navigating this intense corporate bureaucracy, and proving mathematically that you are a highly efficient money-making machine for that specific retailer.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before a brand even thinks about drafting an email to a retail buyer at Walgreens or CVS, they have to take a hard, honest look in the mirror.
The mirror test.
Right. They have to ask themselves if they actually belong in a mass-market drugstore environment in the first place. The guide stresses deeply understanding the target market. Walgreens and CVS serve a massive, broad demographic, right? Young adults, health-conscious families, seniors.
Yeah, and their priorities as shoppers are wellness, convenience, and, accessible beauty.
Which means certain products are fundamentally incompatible, regardless of how good they are. Like, the guide specifically points out that an ultra-premium skincare line or some, hyper-niche, teen-exclusive beauty trend, it's rarely a good fit for a mainstream drugstore.
Definitely not. The buyer for the retailer knows the exact velocity they need from every single linear foot of shelf space.
Oh, velocity, meaning how fast it sells.
Exactly.
Mm.
If your product doesn't solve an immediate problem for their core demographic, or if the price point induces sticker shock for someone just on a quick pharmacy run.
The pitch is dead on arrival.
Dead on arrival. They won't even look at it.
I like to think of this like showing up to a casual afternoon beach party wearing a perfectly tailored $1,000 tuxedo.
That's a great way to put it.
Right. Like, even if the tuxedo is an incredible piece of craftsmanship, like that ultra-premium face cream, it's just the wrong venue. You are going to look entirely out of place, and nobody there is in the market for what you're offering.
Yeah, and the buyer won't risk sacrificing premium eye-level real estate for a product that just sits there. But, establishing demographic fit is really only the first hurdle.
Right. There's more.
Oh, yeah. The guide then introduces a prerequisite that trips up a lot of legacy founders. A brand must have a robust digital footprint before they even attempt to pitch brick and mortar.
A digital footprint.
Yes. We are talking about high social media engagement, massive volume of customer reviews, and a highly polished direct-to-consumer website.
Okay, I have to push back on the logic there, though, because it feels a bit counterintuitive. A brand might have massive Instagram engagement, sure, but digital audiences are highly fragmented.
True.
How does a CVS buyer know that those specific Instagram followers actually live within a 5-mile radius of their physical stores, to drive local foot traffic? If I'm trying to sell a physical product on a physical shelf, why is the buyer obsessing over my digital metrics?
What's fascinating here is that a digital presence is the ultimate, undeniable proof of existing market demand.
Proof of demand, okay.
Right, you have to view this through the lens of a highly risk-averse retail buyer. Every time they grant a new brand a spot on the planogram, they are deliberately removing a proven legacy product that already generates reliable revenue.
Oh, wow. I didn't think about that. They have to kick someone else off the shelf.
Exactly. Shelf space is finite. So when they evaluate your Instagram engagement, your website traffic, and your Amazon review velocity, they're evaluating the momentum of your audience.
So they're looking for, what, local engagement?
Yeah, they look for geotagged engagement, search volume density, and a brand narrative that translates into omni-channel sales. They aren't just buying the physical item, they are acquiring the loyal audience that already trusts that item.
Assuming a percentage of them will just convert in-store for the sake of convenience.
Exactly.
So you're essentially showing them, look, I already have a crowd of people who are obsessed with this specific tuxedo. Just let me bring them to your beach party and they'll buy drinks while they're here.
That is spot on. That existing momentum de-risks the buyer's decision.
Okay, so let's assume you pass that demographic mirror test and your digital footprint is flawless. You now enter the most unglamorous yet entirely make-or-break phase of retail, which is the back-end bureaucracy.
The paperwork and the logistics, it's brutal.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because I think the average shopper assumes that if the buyer likes the product, they just, shake hands, sign a contract, and a truck rolls up to the loading dock next week.
If only it were that simple.
Right. But the Retailbound guide outlines these incredibly strict vendor requirements. Every major retailer has these rules, usually buried in massive archaic vendor portals.
Oh, the portals. They're infos of the industry.
Brands have to master complex packaging and labeling requirements, specific case pack configurations, pricing margin structures, and things like EDI, routing, and supply chain standards.
Think of EDI. That's electronic data interchange.
Yeah.
Think of it like the central nervous system of the retailer.
Okay, the central nervous system.
Yeah. Walgreens and CVS are massive, multi-billion-dollar logistical machines managing tens of thousands of items across thousands of locations. They operate on automated efficiency.
So no humans involved, really.
Practically none. EDI is the standardized language their computer systems use to talk to a brand's computer systems. It generates purchase orders, processes invoices, and sends advanced shipping notices without any human intervention.
So if your brand is trying to attach itself to their operational body, you have to connect flawlessly to their synapses.
Exactly right.
I look at these vendor routing guides like the bouncer at a very exclusive club. You could be the coolest, most popular person in line wearing the perfect outfit. But if you don't know the secret knock, and if you don't speak their exact logistical language, that bouncer is not letting you in.
The door stays shut. And if you somehow sneak past the bouncer but fail to follow the rules inside, the penalties are severe.
Penalties? Like what?
Well, the guide hints at this, but the reality of routing requirements is brutal. If you send a purchase order via a manual PDF instead of EDI, or, if you use a pallet that is 2 inches too wide, or if the barcode font on your master carton is slightly off spec,
The warehouse scanners fail.
they fail. The shipment stops. And when that happens, the retailer issues what's called a chargeback.
A chargeback.
Right. They automatically deduct a penalty fee directly from the invoice they owe you.
Wait, so they just take money out of what they were going to pay you?
Yes. For a startup operating on thin margins, a few mislabeled pallets and the resulting chargebacks can literally wipe out their entire profit for the quarter.
That is terrifying.
Big box retail does not have the time to teach startups how to ship a pallet. Friction costs them money. So by coming prepared and meeting all those vendor requirements flawlessly up front, you prove to the buyer that you won't break their machine.
It's a competency test before the actual sales test.
Precisely.
So let's say you pass. You've proven you have the logistical infrastructure to play in the big leagues. You finally get your shot. You secure a meeting with the buyer, or you're crafting that crucial pitch email. What is the actual anatomy of a winning pitch?
According to Johann Jacob, your pitch must be relentlessly data-driven.
Relentlessly data-driven, not emotional.
Not at all.
Yeah.
A buyer does not care about your emotional founder story or vague promises about how much people love the scent of your lotion. You need to present hard, actionable data.
Like your DTC sales traction.
Yes, your direct consumer sales traction, your repeat purchase rate, clinical trial results if applicable, and any previous retail velocity metrics you have. But the single most crucial element of the pitch, the slide that often dictates a yes or a no, is the marketing and promotional plan.
Yeah, the guide heavily emphasizes that retailers expect the brand to invest and sell through. You need to arrive with a fully funded plan for social media campaigns, SMS outreach, influencer partnerships, in-store point-of-purchase displays, and, couponing strategies.
It's a lot of upfront investment.
But hold on, let's look at the economics of this. If I am already giving CVS or Walgreens a massive cut of my wholesale margins just to have the privilege of sitting on their shelf, shouldn't they be the ones marketing my product to their weekly shoppers?
A lot of founders feel that way.
Right. Why is the burden on me to bring an influencer campaign and a coupon strategy to a national pharmacy?
But this raises an important question because it uncovers the single biggest misconception emerging brands have. We have to separate the concept of distribution from the concept of sell-through.
Okay, walk me through the difference.
Distribution is the act of getting your physical product onto the shelf. Sell-through is the act of getting your product off that shelf and through the cash register.
Got it.
The retailer is only providing distribution. They are providing highly valuable, high-traffic physical real estate. They are not your marketing agency.
So the dynamic is literally just a landlord and a tenant.
Exactly.
They built the mall, they maintain the parking lot, but I still have to stand outside my specific storefront, spinning a sign to get people to walk through my door.
That is the exact dynamic. The retailer takes their margin because they built the infrastructure that attracts, 3 million footsteps a day. But it is entirely the brand's responsibility to direct those footsteps to their specific peg hook on aisle 4.
Wow.
If you put a new product on a shelf and fail to market it, it will simply collect dust. And a product collecting dust means the retailer is losing money on that linear foot of space.
Which goes back to them kicking a legacy brand off the shelf for you.
Right. When the buyer demands a marketing plan, they are looking for financial reassurance that you accept the risk of generating demand.
Which means you have to build those marketing costs. The freestanding inserts, the digital coupons and the CVS app, the expensive cardboard end cap displays into your margins before you even pitch.
I have to.
But even with a brilliant marketing plan and stellar e-commerce data, retail buyers are famously hesitant. I mean, they hear 10 great pitches a day. How do you push a buyer over the edge from a maybe to a yes?
You engineer the pitch around 2 specific levers: market timing and financial incentives.
Timing is huge here.
It's massive. The Retailbound guide puts a huge emphasis on leveraging seasonal review cycles. Retailers plan their shelves, their planograms, months in advance based on strict seasonal calendars. You do not pitch a new, innovative sunscreen in November.
Yeah, the guide lays the calendar out clearly. Sunscreen pitches happen in spring and summer. Immune supplements and cold remedies are reviewed for fall and winter. Beauty gift sets are pitched specifically for the holiday rush, and allergy products for the spring.
Exactly. You have to align your innovation cycle with the buyer's internal purchasing calendar. Pitching off-cycle is an automatic rejection, no matter how good the product is.
That makes total sense.
But even with perfect seasonal timing, emerging brands often need to sweeten the pot to displace an incumbent brand. To increase the odds of a yes, brands should bring buyer-friendly financial incentives to the table.
Sweeten the pot, right, like introductory wholesale pricing, promotional allowances, free trial samples, and buy-downs.
Yes, buy-downs are critical.
Let's actually break down how a buy-down works mechanically, because to a lot of people, it sounds like the brand is just losing money. A buy-down is when the brand essentially pays the retailer to temporarily lower the price for the consumer, right?
Mechanically, yes. So the consumer sees a product normally priced at $12.99 on sale for $9.99.
Right.
The retailer scans it at the register for $9.99, but their profit margin percentage remains perfectly intact.
Why? How does that work?
Because the brand reimburses the retailer that $3 difference on the back end. The brand absorbs the entire cost of the discount to drive trial and volume, ensuring the retailer doesn't lose a dime of their expected margin.
Wow, okay. And what about offering an exclusive SKU? The guide mentions offering a specific bundle or size just for that retailer.
Oh, that is a highly sophisticated margin protection strategy.
How so?
Well, if a brand sells a standard 20-count bottle of vitamins everywhere, consumers can easily showroom.
Showroom, meaning they look at the price in Walgreens, then check Amazon or Target on their phone to see who has it cheaper.
Exactly. And if Walgreens is forced to price match, their margin shrinks. But if a brand creates a 25-count bottle that is exclusively sold at Walgreens, direct price comparison becomes impossible for the consumer and the algorithms.
That is brilliant. It protects the retailer's profitability on that specific item.
Precisely.
All of these tactics, the buy-downs, the exclusive sizes, the promotional allowances, they basically act as a massive risk absorber for the buyer. It reminds me of trying to integrate into a completely new, tight-knit group of friends.
What do you mean?
Like, you might proactively offer to pay for the first round of drinks or buy the pizza. You take a voluntary financial hit up front to prove you bring value to the group, hoping it leads to long-term inclusion.
That's a really good analogy. If we connect this to the bigger picture, These upfront financial sacrifices are strategic customer acquisition costs.
Strategic investments.
Right. You are demonstrating to the buyer that your brand is willing to bleed a little margin in the short term to ensure a successful high-velocity launch. You're effectively buying your way onto the shelf to prove your velocity.
Because if you can prove you sell fast during those first 3 critical months, you secure your placement for years.
Exactly.
Okay, so a founder listens to this, does everything right. They passed the mirror test, they set up EDI, and mastered the routing guides. They pitched with hard data aligned with the seasonal calendar and offered an exclusive SKU with a buy down. And the buyer still doesn't say yes.
It happens all the time.
Or worse, the buyer just stops replying to emails entirely. What is the protocol then?
The protocol is endurance. The guide is incredibly upfront about the timeline here. Landing a product in national drugstore chains takes months, and frequently it takes years of persistent follow-up.
Years?
Yes. Brands must maintain contact without becoming a nuisance. You provide regular updates on new e-commerce milestones or press coverage. Crucially, if a buyer does reply with an objection, saying the wholesale price point is slightly too high or the packaging dimensions don't maximize their shelf depth, you cannot view that as a rejection.
Right, the guide insists you have to treat those objections as an invitation to collaborate.
A buyer taking the time out of their day to provide specific structural feedback is a massive buying signal.
Really? Just getting feedback is a good sign.
Oh, definitely. Showing flexibility. Actually going back to your manufacturer to alter the packaging to fit their planogram requirements makes you stand out among a sea of rigid founders who refuse to adapt. And while you navigate this months-long waiting period, you use the time to refine your supply chain and gather even more compelling sales data.
So what does this all mean? It means patience isn't just a virtue in retail. It is a required foundational business strategy. You have to literally build a 12 to 18-month waiting period into your cash flow models.
And if that timeline or the sheer complexity of the vendor portals feels paralyzing, the guide points out that brands do not have to conquer this alone.
Right, you can call in reinforcements.
They could leverage institutional knowledge.
The playbook suggests working with established U.S. distributors who already have active vendor numbers with Walgreens and CVS, or hiring experienced sales rep groups, or retail consultants like the Authors Company, Retailbound.
Yes, these are partners who already have the EDI connections established. They know the seasonal review dates, they have the buyer's direct phone numbers, and they can bypass the cold email phase entirely.
They already speak the language.
Exactly. It's the business of leveraging borrowed trust. A category buyer is exponentially more likely to take a 15-minute meeting with a distributor they've successfully worked with for a decade than to open an unsolicited pitch deck from an unknown brand.
That makes total sense.
For emerging companies, giving up a percentage of margin to a broker or distributor is often worth the speed and access they provide.
It really pulls back the curtain on what it takes to get onto that shelf. Getting a product placed in a major drugstore like Walgreens or CVS is a monumental milestone. It requires perfectly aligning your product with their specific demographic, mastering invisible but unforgiving supply chain rules, pitching with indisputable sales data, funding your own traffic-driving marketing plan, and deploying financial incentives to absorb the buyer's risk.
It's a lot.
And above all, it requires the sheer endurance to survive a years-long sales cycle.
It is an absolute gauntlet. The reward, of course, is unmatched national exposure and volume. However, dissecting this playbook leaves me with a fascinating paradox to consider.
Whoa, what's that?
Well, the guide emphasizes that to win retail shelf space, you first have to build a massive, highly profitable, direct-to-consumer online presence to prove your demand.
Right, the digital footprint.
But if a brand successfully builds that DTC machine where they capture vital first-party customer data, keep 100% of their profit margins, avoid EDI chargebacks entirely, and never have to fund a buy-down for a retail partner, is there a tipping point?
Oh, wow, I see where you're going.
Is there a mathematical threshold where fighting your way through the gauntlet of a physical drugstore actually dilutes a brand's overall profitability and control?
That is a brilliant question. You build the ultimate digital machine just to get invited into the physical store, only to realize the digital machine was the better business model all along.
Exactly. It's an interesting dilemma for brands.
It's definitely something for you to think about the next time you're standing in that drugstore checkout line, looking at all those bottles and boxes that fought so hard to be there.